and thank you for coming along to this open evening event at Security and Crime Science. I can see that I've made my first typo of the evening, which is I've got the date wrong on this slide, so apologies for that. But we're very pleased to welcome you along. And what we're going to do is we've got quite an action-packed agenda. But what we really want to make sure that we do is give you a little bit of time to not only understand our programs, but also understand what it feels like to be a student here and give you a little bit of time to ask some questions. Just to say with the Q&A, please do use the Q&A function at any time when you have a question, and one of the panelists will be able to get back to you. You know, just ask anything that you want to as you think of it. Don't feel that you need to wait till the end to ask your questions. And so it's much better if we can have them documented as we go along. So anyway, good evening. My name is Professor Kate Bowers. I'm the head of department here at Security and Crime Science. And the nice bit that I get to do is to introduce you to the university and the department before I pass you on to my colleagues who will tell you more about our specific programs. You've probably done your research and you know that UCL is first a very, very large university, but also a very good university. So we are fairly consistently ranked in the top 10 universities in the world. And we were the University of the Year for 2024. We also have got a lot of power from a research perspective, and this is one of the things that you hopefully will really come away from UCL feeling, which is because we are a really research intensive university, it means that filters through to every single part of piece of the activity that we do as a department. So you will see lots of examples later on in the curriculum of where we've got research-based teaching, or we're using our own research skills to teach you, and this means that you'll be exposed to really cutting-edge research in the field. Just one thing to say before I move on to tell you much more about the department itself. We are in the engineering faculty, and you will see that there are 10 different departments in this faculty, including computer science, electrical engineering. We have also the science, technology, engineering, and public policy. So a range of different departments. Some people ask us why we're in the engineering faculty. That's very much on purpose. And the reason that we're in the engineering faculty is we are really security and crime engineers. And what I mean by that is we go out there and we look for real world problems when it comes to security and national security, and potential extremist events, problems with terrorism, but also things with volume crime, the whole range of the security field. And we look for those problems and we use engineering solutions to come up with good ways of reducing or detecting those particular problems. And when I say engineering solutions, it's because a lot of what we do is based on very practical problem solving, which is exactly what engineers do in real world situations. So the discipline of crime science itself is over 20 years old now. We began our journey as the Jill Dando Institute of Crime Science, and this happened after the very sad murder of Jill Dando, who you can see here on the right-hand side. She was a really famous BBC presenter at the time of the Crime Watch programme, and her co-presenter, Nick Ross, decided to establish an institute in her name. But this institute was going to be based on very practical solutions to crime problems. And this is why he coined the term crime science to represent that kind of very practical, pragmatic, but research and evidence-based practice when it came to preventing security issues and crime. So we then moved on to being a department in our own right in 2009, and you will probably hear more if you're a student with us, that you're part of the UCL Department of Security and Crime Science. This is our front door and our beautiful building that you can see here. We also have various of the research centres that are part of the department, and these range from the UCL Centre for Forensic Sciences through to our Doors Centre for Future Crime, which is a large-scale funded organisation which concentrates on technology and how technology can be used in first of all presenting future crime problems that we didn't know about, but also hopefully in solutions to those future crime problems. We have, of course, doctoral programs as well, and we've just got a new CDT as an example, a doctoral program in cyber-physical risk, where we're going to have students onboarding in the next year. So basically, the idea of crime science is that it goes beyond what a normal criminology department would do. And normally when you see the practice of criminology, you see, for example, influences from law and psychology and sociology. But what we want to do is use a fuller range of different disciplines to help us focus on the security and crime problems. And so we use expansive numbers of different methods from all sorts of different disciplines: engineering, computer science, geography, electrical engineering. And we think about crime and security in a very scientific way. What we're thinking about is what method suits this problem best? How can we come up with a good scientific method for understanding this problem and coming up with good solutions to it? So crime science is very much about finding new ways and using multiple disciplines to reduce crime and security problems. And it's got this real key element, thinking about crime and security in scientific ways. And you will hear from every single person that speaks to tonight about some of those scientific methods that we use to ensure that we're doing rigorous science and finding rigorous evidence that we need in doing these very practical pieces of research. The other thing to say is we work very directly with policymakers, police and related agencies, to have that real world impact. And again, this is a real advantage to you as a student coming to us at UCL. We have fantastic networks. Nobody will be able to do an MSc course at our department without hearing from a policymaker, working with a policymaker, being inspired by the sort of things that our policing colleagues and our crime prevention colleagues do. So we have very, very strong ties, and this is one of the reasons why we are able to do such impactful research. What happens is departments are rated by research excellence, and we did particularly well in our last one from the point of view of what we call our impact. All of our case studies showing how we actually change things out there in the real world were basically ranked with the best possible grade of world leaders. So that's kind of a feel for what the department is really inspired by. These are specific types of different research that we work on, and I'm sure a lot of you will think, yes, I noticed that, and that's one of the reasons why I want to come to study with you, because I'm really interested in one of these topics. These are our research topics, and again, these all filter through to things that we do in our courses. Here's just what you might have, because you're obviously online, you might want to feel for what the place looks like. As I've shown you our main building already, but we have some other places that are associated with our departmental activities. One of them is our Mallet Place JDI Secure Data Lab. This enables you as a student, for example, to access some data for your research that you wouldn't be able to access at another organisation, because we've got a secure sharing facility. We also have a range of different labs that we've just developed over in the engineering building, and these are really, again, make crime science activity different. It means that we can start using immersive technologies and experimenting with those. We've got the operational technology lab, which is looking at how we might find risks in big critical infrastructure situations, and we're kind of replicating those at a smaller scale to see what we can do about those. We've got the forensic interpretation lab, and that's really exciting because there's lots of equipment in that lab that, again, you wouldn't get access to in a normal criminology department. And finally, we've got Shropshire House, which is where our PhD students sit. Right, I'm not going to say much more other than to say, here's the suite of teaching programs that we have on offer, and we're going to go through all of our MScs one after the other this evening to give you a bit of a flavour for those. Just to say, we also have undergraduates as well. So if you do come to study with us, we have a few integrated events where you'll be speaking to students across all of our different programs, including BSc students and PhD students as well. I'd just say that the feel of the whole thing is that we want you to expect these things from us. We want you to feel that you've come away with a real multidisciplinary learning experience. We want you to understand that if you come to us, you'll be learning from the world leaders, those doing the really, really highly impactful research in the field. The curriculum you will come on to see is challenging. This is absolutely on purpose. And there are places where you'll be pushed. If you're not somebody who's used to scientific methods, this is something you'll be learning. If you're perhaps not used to writing essays, this is something you'll be learning. But as a result of that, you'll come away with fantastic transferable skills. And we want to make sure we leave you time to talk to listen to student experience. We've got Katie, who's very kindly joined us to tell you what it feels like to be a student at UCL and within our department. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and invite my colleague. I think, who have we got next? We've got Kevin next.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you about the MSc in crime science.
Okay, thanks, Kate. Just okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'll just put it in presenter mode. Okay. Okay. Can I just confirm that I'm in correct presenter mode?
Yes.
Yeah, at the moment we can just see the front slide. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Not the text.
No, do you want to try going down one slide and I'll just check that? That's perfect to me.
Excellent, brilliant. Okay, let me just get this ready. Okay, thanks, Kate, and good evening, everyone. So my name is Professor Kevin Chetty, and in this presentation, I'm going to go through quite a number of programs that we offer. The first is the MSc Crime Science program, which is our longest running MSc. And then I'm going to go through 3 courses, which are our specialized routes. These are MSc Crime Science with Data Science, MSc Crime Science with Cybercrime, and MSc Crime Science with Serious and Organised Crime. And at the end, I'm also going to just briefly mention our diploma in crime science and our certificate in security in crime science. And these are very much just scaled back versions of our MSc in crime science. I won't spend too long on those, but I'll just kind of mention how they differ. Okay, so I suppose the first thing you might ask is, what is a crime scientist and what do crime scientists do? Well, at our core, crime science is really about reducing crime and increasing security. So crime scientists work in various areas, from investigating human trafficking and devising counter-terrorism strategies, right through to designing solutions to tackle online crime and finding ways to reduce knife crime. So there's a lot that we do. But to achieve these objectives, crime scientists possess a specific set of skills and traits. Sorry, just okay. Okay, there you go. Sorry. Just lost my notes for a sec. Okay, so crime scientists are analytical and use scientific and evidence-based and data-driven approaches to critically assess problems and develop new techniques that prevent criminal behavior. And we really are problem solvers. So we leverage some of the latest technologies and cutting edge thinking to translate our research into real world practical applications that have immediate impacts. And it's also important to mention that in our work, we do prioritize the responsible and ethical use of data and technology. Okay, so the first course, MSc in Crime Science, this course will allow you to become a specialist in the field of crime science, and it will equip you with the skills and data-driven strategies. It will allow you to develop data-driven strategies to prevent crime and more effectively detect and arrest offenders. An important characteristic is that you'll also learn to think critically about complex and evolving crime issues. So you'll become proficient in using advanced statistical analysis and quantitative methods to design, research projects to investigate those problems. Um, Throughout the course, you'll also have the opportunity to explore real life case studies, and this will really allow you to develop a deep understanding of the theory and application of crime prevention. And then, as part of the course, also, you can use these skills in your dissertation project to come up with a new proposal and new ways to address a specific crime problem. One standout feature of this MSc course is that it really offers you a lot of flexibility to shape the degree program to your own interests and career aspirations. So if you're interested in things like intelligence analysis or government planning or policy or even AI and statistical modeling, you can, through the large pool of optional modules which we offer, incorporate a flavour of these aspects into your degree. Okay, so the next course, MSc Crime Science with Data Science. And this route offers the opportunity to really immerse yourself in the practical application of world-changing technologies that you're seeing at the moment. Things like machine learning, natural language processing, and spatial analysis. You'll learn how to find the data that you need through advanced data collection methods. And these are things like text mining and web scraping. I've talked about statistics a little bit, and here you'll be able to kind of use some of the latest and advances in statistics, like multivariate statistical analysis, to identify trends and relationships between large and diverse data sets. Um, as part of this course, you'll also undertake interactive computer lab sessions that we run. And here you'll explore how things like virtual reality and agent-based models are used to identify and analyze offender decision making and behaviors. And these will also help you kind of improve your programming skills. One standout feature about this program is that you'll have exposure to some of the world leading research, and where you can kind of identify how your own skill sets in data science can be applied to crime and security problems across the physical sciences, the social sciences, and the humanities subjects. The next MSc program is Crime Science with Cybercrime. And here you'll develop technical skills and use software tools to design and test secure systems. You'll also build a comprehensive understanding of how the online underground economy works and some of the drivers and methods of cyber criminal operations. Um, You'll also get a chance, and we know we talk a lot about the multidisciplinarity of security and crime science. So you'll be able to leverage multidisciplinary approaches to design what we call cyber pinch points that are able to disrupt criminal operations. And a key feature about this program is that you'll have the opportunity to take courses in different UCL departments, such as computer science and STEEP, which is the Science, Technology, Engineering and Public Policy department. So by working with all these different departments, you'll be able to take an even deeper dive into some of the nuances of cybercrime as on your kind of journey to becoming a subject expert in this area. And then finally, we have the MSc Crime Science with Serious and Organised Crime route. And this will allow you to critically evaluate the manifestation of organised crime and devise evidence-based strategies in response to them. So, things you'll do in this program is things like examine the group structures and governance models found in organised crime and develop sophisticated understandings of how crime groups try and embed themselves in our communities and social infrastructures. You'll also develop tools to help you tackle specific organised crime activities like human trafficking, smuggling, and exploitation. And one kind of key feature of this program is that you'll be taught and you'll work with the UCL Terrorism, Serious and Organised Crime Group, who are really thought leaders in this field and have a substantial global impact in their research. So, in terms of the program structure, for all our MSCs, you need 180 credits to complete the course. And these are structured around a number of compulsory and optional modules. And to get these compulsory and optional modules will give you 120 credits in total towards those 180 credits. What you can see here is that MSc Crime Science has 4 optional modules. So it gives students the most flexibility to, again, tailor their program to suit their own interests and career aspirations and pathways. With the routes, there are less optional modules, and that kind of makes sense in the sense that the particular specialism, whether it's data science, cybercrime, or serious and organised crime, they're actually mapped through those compulsory modules. But you still have an element of optional modules, again, to kind of tailor that degree program a bit more. And so, for example, in data science, those 6 compulsory modules might have a few more quantitative kind of focus, a quantitative focus in those compulsory modules. And then finally, to make up those final credits to complete the MSc course, you have to undertake a dissertation in a project of your choosing. And just to kind of complete the whole structure, I mentioned the diploma in security in crime science, and the diploma just requires 120 credits, which is equivalent to 8 modules without the dissertation. And then we also offer the certificate in security in crime science, and that requires 60 credits, so 4 modules to complete. I don't really have time here to go through every single module and course that we offer. So I advise you to look at the prospectus page when you get a chance, and you can explore the different compulsory and optional modules involved in each program. But what I thought I'll do here is just a quick kind of whistle-stop tour, just to give you an insight into the different areas covered by our teaching. And the way I've done this is just to show a thumbnail and have a short sentence for each of the modules. What we have here, these 4 modules are quite important because they form the compulsory modules of quite a few of the MSCs we offer. So, for example, the Foundations of Security and Crime Science course is very much focused on outlining the fundamentals of the field. So everyone pretty much does this module, and it really prepares you for then going off and doing your optional and different compulsory modules. But you have that kind of background knowledge. Designing and doing research is really a module focused on your dissertation. So you're not alone in your dissertation. You'll be able to prepare for it, get feedback on your ideas, and just kind of be well positioned to undertake it at the end of the course. Preventing crimes is all about kind of crime prevention and seeing examples of crime prevention in practice. And then quantitative methods is very much our standard statistical and methods course, which again gives you the grounding to then go off and do analysis in various other areas that you'll encounter throughout the MSc course. We also have modules like intelligence gathering and analysis, investigation and detection, crime mapping and spatial analysis, and perspectives and organised crime. We have some cyber-focused modules like cybercrime and introduction to cybersecurity, as well as a range of other more technical modules. So things like crime modeling and simulation, applied data science, and understanding multivariate model and causal inference are all quite technical in nature and very much data science orientated. Whereas other modules like horizon scanning and risk and contingency planning are really about being able to forecast, evaluate policy, and do a lot of the kind of work that you might see in a government department. And then finally, we've launched some new modules in some very kind of current areas around human trafficking, hate crime, and online extremism. So the courses that we offer provide you with specific preparation that you need to join the ranks of a new generation of crime and security practitioners. And the specific skills and knowledge that you'll gain from the programs will also qualify you in high-level jobs like research, government, and industry. And these can range from things like the civil servants and academia, right through to tech companies, NGOs, and think tanks. The graduates from our crime science program have found jobs and work in a number of these kind of different types of areas. And just a few examples are shown in these kind of logos and icons. The entry requirements for the course are really a 2-2 in any relevant undergraduate degree. Sorry. And again, we talk about a lot the multidisciplinarity of security and crime science. So we take students from a range of backgrounds, whether it's the social sciences like psychology, criminology, and sociology, right through to the STEM subjects. If you don't have a first undergraduate degree, you can apply for the program with 5 years of relevant work experience. So that can include things like working as a police officer, a data scientist, an intelligence analyst, or even in IT security. And when you apply, some advice that I'd give you is to really try and convey your interest in the subject area and why you want to pursue the particular master's course you're applying for. We also look for your kind of willingness, just to show that you are aware and you are willing to undertake some of the more statistical and methods-based elements of the program, because these, as Kate mentioned earlier, are quite important. You can study our MSc courses and our diploma and certificate on a full-time basis, or you can do it part-time or flexible, and that can be between 2 and 5 years, depending on how you choose to structure it. We also offer distance learning options on some of our MScs, and our courses are modular, so you can choose to take the postgraduate certificate first and then upgrade to the diploma, and then finally upgrade to the MSc and do the dissertation. Okay, so that's it for me, and I'll hand over to Sandy now. But if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and we'll aim to answer them at the end. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay,
I think you
need
just
to
need to
stop sharing, right? Yeah.
Yes, please. Perfect. All right. I believe this works. Yeah, great. So, yeah, good evening, everyone. So, from me, my name is Dr. Sandy Schumann, and I'm the program director of the MSc in Countering Extremist Crime and Terrorism. And I'm delighted to introduce this program to you this evening and to highlight why it's such a great MSc to apply for. So we developed this MSc in Countering Extremist Crime and Terrorism, or CECT, really in response to the changing nature of terrorism. So terrorism today is a hybrid threat, and it overlaps with other crime types like extremist crime and hate crime, and it's also strongly influenced by disinformation and conspiracy theories. We developed this degree together and informed by security professionals in order to equip our students with the skills and the knowledge that is needed to analyze this hybrid threat and to develop effective countermeasures. Now, throughout your program, as Kate already mentioned, we place a really strong emphasis on enabling our students to ultimately tackle real-world problems. So yes, you will discuss theories of terrorism, and we'll really look into the literature across a wide range of disciplines. I saw in the FNQ someone asking about a sociological perspective. So yes, for instance, you will also explore sociological perspectives on terrorism, among many others. And we teach these theories and frameworks not, for their own sake, but really to enable you to apply them to practice. For instance, when we talk about approaches that outline various risk factors of radicalization, we do so to then inform risk and threat assessment. And in fact, we have a whole module where you can learn about risk and threat assessments and the various tools that are being used by practitioners to establish whether an individual is, for instance, at risk of radicalization and should be monitored, etc. This is to say also that all of your professors and lecturers are working with policymakers and practitioners, and they are acutely aware of the issues that are being faced in practice. They'll bring these experiences into the classroom, and by extension, you are at the end of your degree also ready to step out into the real world and tackle the security problems there. Doing this MSc with us means you'll be studying at a world-leading research university, and that benefits you in two ways, at least two ways. On the one hand, our students are usually the first to hear about our latest research findings and insights before these are published or also shared with our audiences. So while, yes, we will also be exploring previous research, and also some of the well-established theories, studying with us means you are indeed learning about the latest and cutting-edge research. For everyone who does the MSc, so not the diploma or the certificate, you will be completing a dissertation, as Kevin just mentioned, and at our department, the dissertation includes an empirical study, so it's not just a literature review. And we're working on this study member research insights in your master's dissertation, which personally I think is one of the highlights of this degree. Speaking about the practicalities, so this is, for instance, one of the programs that you can study as a distance learning student. All the modules that would be suitable for this program can be taken fully online. You do not have to attend classes in person. And again, you can opt for a full-time mode, or you can choose a extended study period where you might take 1 or 2 modules per term over a period of maximum 5 years. As flexible as the overall approach of the degree is also the curriculum. It's very customizable. You have only 4 core modules that you are expected to take. And this is the perspectives on extremism and terrorism. It's taught by Professor Noemi Buana, who is one of the leading terrorism scholars. And you're then taking 3 other modules, indeed, together with students also from other program routes. So the foundations module, designing, doing research, and quantitative methods that Kevin already explored. The dissertation will also be a core module if you're doing the MSc. But beyond that, you can actually pick 4 additional optional modules. If you want to be very much focused on countering extremist crime and terrorism, we have 4 modules that are perfect for this. The online extremism and hate crime module is a unique module that doesn't really exist like that at any other university, where we explore various manifestations of extremism and hate online, as well as countermeasures. I'm teaching that, and it's definitely one of my most favorite modules to teach. We also have the module I already mentioned on risk assessment, assessing extremism risk. Again, very unique, and it really prepares you for a role in risk and threat assessment, which is relevant in private industry, but also for government institutions and increasingly for technology companies, at least those in the UK who need to now comply with the 2023 Online Safety Act. And then there's also a module, prevention and disruption, focusing very much on counterterrorism, and an optional module that is led by the public policy department, where you can look at terrorism from yet another disciplinary angle. If you want to branch out and you say, I do not only want to look at extremism and terrorism, you can also do that. Here are some other examples of optional modules. Indeed, more are available. And with those, you can, for instance, branch out into organized and serious crime, looking also at methods like investigation, detection, or intelligence gathering. If you want to explore cyber, you can take those modules as well. And for anyone who wants to widen their analytical and methodological toolbox, we have several modules that you could take. For instance, simulation, which will teach you agent-based modeling, very exciting, and also crime mapping, which is a great skill to have, I think. With this customizable curriculum, you open up various different pathways for possible careers. So our graduates are working as intelligence analysts, be it in law enforcement, but also in banking or in corporate institutions. And we also see quite a few of our graduates move into government and international organizations. I already mentioned the increasing responsibilities that technology companies have, especially those that operate in the UK. So with this degree, you'd also be an expert in countering and preventing violent extremism, which is a skill set that is increasingly being sought by technology companies, social media, but also search services. Of course, this degree also prepares you for roles in the nonprofit, non-governmental organizations. Our graduates work for social services, violence prevention. And lastly, some of our students also stay on to continue their academic journey, complete a PhD with us or at other institutions, or they also work as researchers at think tanks like the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, etc. Now, to conclude, I will say a few words about our eligibility criteria. So we are looking for students who have a bachelor's degree in a relevant discipline with a upper second class degree, or the equivalent if you didn't study in the UK. And with relevant disciplines, much like Kevin said as well, we're quite open. So this can be anything from political science to criminology, psychology. There is a list indeed on the website. If you do not have a first degree, or if your undergraduate degree was below a 2-1, but you have 5 years or more of relevant professional experience, you're also very much invited to apply. There was a question about law enforcement experience. Yes, we definitely encourage people who've worked for law enforcement and various different roles. We get a lot of applicants with that profile. But also experience in the security industry and armed forces. Again, we're quite open. If you're not sure whether your experience would be considered as relevant, please just get in touch and we can explore that. One final note also on the application and a personal statement. I think I'm just somewhat repeating, but it is really important that you use the personal statement to showcase why you're interested in this degree, what you want to get out of it, what excites you about it. and to also show to us how your experience so far, and this can be your degree, this can be voluntary experience, it can be, yeah, professional experience, how that experience prepares you for this MSc. All right, I will come to an end, and I thank you for now for your attention. Look forward to your questions, and then also look forward to your applications. Thank you. And I hand over to James.
Thank you, Sandy. Just checking if people can see my screen.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
That's great. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is James French, and I'm the program convener for the MSc in Crime and Forensic Science. So I want to start this short introductory presentation with a quote from the National Academy of Sciences report into forensic science from 2009. This report was concerned with looking at the discipline of forensic science as a whole and was commenting on the state of it at the time, the accuracy and validity of the methods that were used. And it was a pretty damning report. And one quote here stands out as being especially critical of forensic science at the time. And this really is at the heart of our research and teaching here at UCL. It's our mission statement in research and teaching. We're seeking to rectify this and establish the scientific foundations of forensic science. We think we do this in a distinctly interdisciplinary way. Our centre brings together researchers from across UCL, and this is reflected in the teaching and research that we do, not to mention the practitioners that we work with. Our academics and our students come from a wide range of academic backgrounds. So on our current MSc cohort, we have lawyers, we have biologists, we have computer scientists, we have psychologists, to name a few. So this is not your traditional forensic science degree. It's a unique program nationally and internationally in forensic science. So it's the only forensic science program offered by a top 10 university. It's the only program in the UK that seeks to produce the next generation of forensic science decision makers, evidence gatherers and evidence interpreters, in contrast to laboratory scientists with analytical skills. It's the only program that offers research-led teaching to address both the interpretation and the presentation of forensic evidence in casework. There's a big emphasis on understanding what science is, what crime is, and how forensic science should rightly fit within that framework. We take a holistic approach from crime scene to court. So traditionally in forensic science, in both research and teaching, there's a lot of focus on processes at the crime scene, and particularly on developing analytical techniques in the lab. But we focus on the entire forensic science process from crime scene to court. So we recognize that forensic science is not only multidisciplinary, but it's a process that evidence moves through from its generation at the crime scene right through to its presentation in a court of law. This MSc is about thinking about forensic science in this way. We focus on understanding and interpreting evidence rather than focusing on laboratory analysis. And this is a primary concern for the UK forensic science regulator. So what we're doing really matters. There might be some experimental work, and you will learn some techniques at the crime scene, for example. The degree doesn't train you to be a proficient laboratory technician or bench scientist. That's for the on-the-job training that you might go on to do afterwards. We want you to understand concepts and theories that underpin forensic science as an academic discipline. We'll equip you with research skills, and will inform your critical thinking so that you can be an intelligent consumer of forensic science. And it will equip you with the skills you need to do for you to do good science, whether it's in forensic science or beyond. Our program is recognised by a wide range of employers in forensic science and beyond, and we produce excellent graduates. So onto the course content. I don't want to go through modules in detail, as I'm conscious that you can seek this information elsewhere on the website. There are module descriptions for all of these, but these are the set of core modules that you will do as a student on this program. Some of them are familiar to you already because they are shared with some of our other programs, but understanding interpreting forensic evidence and law and expert evidence, for example, are bespoke for this program. The research project, I will speak about it a bit. You have the choice of a range of optional modules to add a particular flavour to your degree. Some of these have prerequisites. You need to have some prior knowledge before coming in, and you can ask us questions about that, and there is some information on the website as well. But rather than spend a lot of time going through these individual modules that you can read about separately, I want to highlight a number of things that are going on right now this week on our MSc program. So in the remaining few minutes, I'm going to try and highlight some of the things that our students are currently doing to give you a flavour of what it would be like to be on this program. So at the moment, we have our crime scene investigation module running. This is a very popular optional module. Students are learning the skills needed to examine a crime scene, to collect, recover, secure and package evidence. And it'll be leading up to their end of term assessment at Easter, where they'll enter a mock crime scene. They'll have to search it, collect evidence and document their evidence. And it will result in them giving their evidence and being cross-examined in a mock courtroom, which is their assessment. I, as one of the examiners, will play one of the barristers, and we have a lawyer come in to play the other one to examine the students. I am running a module on understanding and interpreting forensic evidence, and one of the sessions that we've been doing this week is on the analysis and interpretation of cell site data. So this is data that is captured by mobile phone network operators that record our activities on mobile phones in space and time. They're a record of calls and messages and data sessions in time and space that we can use in forensic investigations. So we've been exploring that in collaboration with some experts who come into the classroom from forensic analytics. Our students are currently putting together proposals for their research projects. And the research project or dissertation is a highlight for most of our graduates. It's a 4-month project supervised by an expert in the field, and you can work with external partners as well. You'll be supervised within the department. We have a huge range of projects, experiments on blood, fibre collection, glass, finger marks, persistence of other materials, the accuracy of call data records, and the cell site stuff that I just mentioned, things on decision making and cognitive bias and forensic analysis as well. So a huge range of projects, and you have the freedom to kind of choose a topic that's interesting to you and work with a supervisor to craft and carry out that project. We also run a research seminar series just for the MSc students on crime and forensic science. This takes place every week in term time. We welcome a range of speakers from UCL, from industry, different parts of government, forensic service providers, police forces, both nationally and internationally, researchers from other universities, including Oxford, Edinburgh, Queen Mary and Teesside. And it's designed to complement and go beyond the course. Great for networking and engaging with academics and practitioners. A lot of people have done dissertations on the back of some of the contacts that they've made here. Some have gone on to pursue job opportunities as well. We're delighted to be joined this week by one of our recent graduates who's gone on to work as a digital forensic scientist. So she'll be talking about her experiences in the field. So you know what we do and who we are. This is who we're looking for. Like some of the other programs, we have some requirements. You need to have a bachelor's degree in a scientific discipline equivalent to a UK 2-1. We interpret scientific very broadly. Okay, so I'm a geographer by background. I would consider myself a scientist. We have psychologists on our program, computer scientists, as I mentioned, biologists and beyond. So we do interpret things quite broadly. Alternatively, you can demonstrate 5 years or more relevant professional experience in forensic science, for example. And tips for your application, as others have said, we pay particular attention to the personal statement and understanding
the fit between your experiences and your background and the program. Why is this the right program for you, and why are you well suited to this particular program rather than any other program in forensic science or a related field? If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to get in touch. So I think that just about brings me to an end. You can keep in touch with us and keep up to date with what we do. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we will get back to you. Okay, I'll hand over to the next presenter.
Thanks, James. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Can anyone tell me?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Professor Jyoti Belur, and I'm the program convener for the MSc in Policing. Thank you and for your patience and for staying on this presentation. Like my colleagues, I'm going to go through some of the highlights of this particular program and why it offers a unique perspective on policing from a crime science foundation. So why policing? Why a master's in policing? It is a great career pathway. This program is intended to develop our students to take up leadership roles, not just in policing, but also in other security and related law enforcement agencies. They can work in security industries. They will be equipped to do research and analysis to a very high degree of sophistication. The program will develop your critical thinking skills. It will develop and support evidence-based practice in real life, and you will get a number of transferable skills that you can take across not just to law enforcement, but other industries and job outlets as well. How is this program relevant? Well, this program wasn't developed by just a bunch of academics. The program was developed from a multidisciplinary perspective in close contact with practitioners in law enforcement. So we've got a number, including myself. We have a background in law enforcement. I was a senior police officer. We've got colleagues who've had 30 years of experience of working with the Met and in other places. We've also been working in close contact with police agencies to develop the curriculum for this program. So it's relevant to police officers, not just in the UK, but for policing more globally. We think this program is relevant to those who want to pursue a career in law enforcement or in related industries. It's also relevant for just those who want to develop their leadership skills. The aim of this program is to integrate research and education to improve efficiency. So we want to apply some of the theory, we want to apply some of the techniques that have been developed in our department and in the field of crime science, and apply it in actual everyday policing. We encourage the development of an interdisciplinary approach to solving complex real-world problems. Policing often is criticized for being something that officers do because they have a gut instinct, or it's based, that's how policing has always been done. But we want to encourage the profession to become more evidence-based, to address challenges not just in the UK, but more globally. And as I've said before, we want to enable current and future leaders to make decisions based on the existing evidence that is scientifically grounded. The intended outcomes of this program are to enable you to gain a sophisticated understanding of policing issues and challenges. The world is full of problems where the police are coming into conflict with the public. There are protests. We've observed them over the last few years. And traditionally, the police have always been a force to reckon with. We hope that this particular program will help you gain a better understanding of some of the challenges that are faced by police officers, to learn to apply scientific principles to tackle problems, crime problems, and security problems. And through your own research and your dissertation, contribute to the existing evidence base that will support policing. The program structure, like some of the other programs you've heard about, consists of 8 modules. These are 8 taught modules plus a dissertation. As with some of the other programs, you can choose to attend lectures in person or on campus, or you can take a number of these modules via distance learning. You can also do this program full-time over a single year, or you could choose to do it flexibly by selecting modules over a period of 5 years. So you have, and this is to enable practitioners or people who have full-time jobs to be able to do this program as well. The design, we have got 5 core modules that are compulsory and 3 optional modules, as well as the research dissertation module. So in common with other programs in the department, so we want to ensure that all our students have a common understanding of crime science and have a common skill level in terms of their research method skills. Foundations of crime science and doing research in social sciences are compulsory, and you will be taking these modules alongside your colleagues in other programs in the department. We have 3 bespoke modules for this program, Police and the Public, where we look at topical issues where the police and the public either clash or work in coordination so that we can improve policing and we can improve the public perception of policing as well as their legitimacy. We then have policing model not just the traditional use of force issues that we've been talking about for years on an end, but all the new ethical issues with the use of AI, with the use of algorithms and data-driven policing, predictive policing that do arise with development. We then, students can choose a number of options. Optional modules could be from a whole range, and I've just got a few examples out here. So you can again design your MSc to suit your interests and your future plans. So you could take cybercrime and cybersecurity, intelligence analysis, terrorism, police leadership. So there's a bespoke module in conjunction with the Management School of Management, which is one of the leading business management schools in the UK. We deliver a bespoke model on police leadership. So you can then design your program so that it suits your purpose. Your research dissertation, again, is an empirical project where you will work with real-world problems, data that is already collected, or you will go out and collect your own data and resolve some of the problems that police and law enforcement are facing today. Our graduates have gone on to work in a wide range of roles. We've had some mid to senior level police officers from different parts of the world come in on this program. And it's an amazing opportunity to interact not just with other students, but police officers and law enforcement officers at different ranks from different parts of the world, including Thailand, Brazil, Japan, Pakistan, so we've got a real good mix of students and law enforcement officers. These have gone on to take up senior leadership roles. Some of our students have gone on to join the civil service, or they've worked in NGOs or violence prevention units. Some of our students, including police officers, have gone on to do PhDs on problems that their particular police force or country is facing. Who we are looking for? But we are hoping that students who apply to this are either serving police officers or law enforcement officers or police staff, as well as motivated students with an undergraduate degree at the level of a 2-2, or if they have 5 years of relevant operational experience. I join my colleagues in urging you to think about your personal statement to ensure that you show or you demonstrate your understanding of the program, what it entails, and also how you are suited to be admitted onto this program and how this program will fulfill your career's aspirations in the future. So it has to be very much, you've got to show why you think you are right for this particular program. If there are any questions, I'm really happy to answer them, but thank you for your attention and I look forward to seeing applications from all of you. I now hand over to Kate to continue the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Josie, and to all my colleagues for those really nice and clear explanations of the different courses and what they offer. And I hope that you can see how exciting and incentivizing it is from the point of view of the curriculum and all the various different bits of engagement that you'll be undertaking if you come and study with us. What I'd like to do now is invite Katie, who is one of our students, to talk to you a little bit more about the actual experience of being an MSc student with us. And so I'm going to throw the floor open to her so that you can hear from somebody who's got direct knowledge of how it is to be here with us. And then at the end, we'll just come back to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities in terms of bursaries and careers and answer any further of your questions that you have remaining. So Katie, thank you again for joining us, and I will hand the floor over to you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's nice to be here. I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay,
It's good.
great. So I just want to start off with a little interaction. If you can scan this QR code for Mentimeter, you can also plug in the numbers 55961999 into the Mentimeter code, so we can just get to know who is on the call. I'll give you a few seconds to scan the code and then I'm going to change my screen. Okay, then I set up a new one. Yes. Okay, yeah, so, oh great, everyone's on it, that's really nice. So if you can just put down where you're from. Nice, so we have quite a wide range, and you'll also notice at UCL we have a lot of students from such diverse backgrounds, so it's nice to see that we also have a very diverse group here with us today. Then let me see. Oh yeah, Can you see the next question? Okay. So what was your undergraduate degree in? Okay, so we also have some diverse. I see most people are in criminology and psychology. There's quite popular courses to have had before attending this master's, but later on you'll see that you don't need to necessarily have a background in crime science specifically. We have a lot of students that come from different backgrounds, so it's nice to also already see this. And then I think I have one more question. Yeah. So which aspects of university and course experiences are the most important for you? You can write very long answers, very brief answers. Yeah, okay, great. So I see practical experiences, engaging activities, staff expertise. Okay, so I will also cover a bit of this in the presentation as well, but thank you for sharing your thoughts. It's very interesting to see. I'm also gonna stop sharing and go back to my original screen, which is here. Okay, great. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Katie. I'm currently a master's student and in the Crime and Forensic Science course. However, I do come from a very different background. So originally, I actually did my undergrad and also postgrad in piano playing. I've been playing piano for 20 years now, and I did a whole bachelor studies and also a master's studies. However, during my studies in Amsterdam, I discovered that I was actually still very much interested in academics. So then I also did an undergrad in psychology. And then from there, I did specializations in clinical psychology. However, I always knew that I wanted to go down the forensic track. Unfortunately, in the university that I attended in Amsterdam, forensic psychology wasn't really something we could specialize in during the undergrad degree. However, I was able to do some extracurricular courses. So for example, we had one in crime science. I also did some law studies as well. And now I've ended up here doing crime and forensic science. So this is just to show that you don't necessarily have to come from a very specific background. You can find your way. But the thing that really drove me was my motivation and passion for this degree. James already covered the module, so I'm not going to go very much into it. I'm just going to give some personal experiences with what I had with the modules. So you'll see here that these are the compulsory modules for the crime and forensic science. The nice thing about the compulsory modules, you get the majority of them in the first term, and that is with all the students from the entire department. So for example, I was taking all of the foundations of crime science and the quantitative methods with students from other masters. So for example, from the counterterrorism or from the policing. It's really nice to start the year together with so many students with a big lecture hall. You really get to see other people's disciplines. You also get to engage with other students. So that was very nice to begin with. And a really nice thing about these modules is that, for example, with the foundations, it really starts from the beginning. So really the theory of the crime science, because I had no knowledge about it. So it was nice to go in with this, and they really guide you by the hand through all the different theories. And also, I know statistics is not everyone's best friends, but the quantitative methods was also structured very well, that it really guides you from the beginning stages, and it slowly guides you step by step on how to use the different softwares, how to design your own research. So I think it's okay. You just need to be motivated and catch up with the readings. Now the optional modules was really the one that got me into this course, So there is such a wide range of modules you can choose. These are the ones specific to the crime of forensic science. So I would advise for you to go on the website and check them all out. They are all covered in great detail on the website. I personally chose forensic geoscience, which was covered in the first term. I went into it without knowing at all what it is, but forensic geoscience looks into how, for example, soil sediments and rock analysis and other geography components can assist investigations. And I didn't know that was a thing. I also discovered that forensic entomology, which is a thing, which is the study of insects. But it blew my mind. I've never looked at mud the same way again. But it was a really, really great course. Another one that I'm doing that is a very popular one is the practice of crime scene investigation. I actually wore the suit for the first time today. They do like mock crime scenes. It was very interesting. And I'm also doing forensic biology. So we study, for example, blood splatter analysis. You also have a bit of forensic anthropology in it. So we looked at skulls. But the optional modules are very high level. Quite often you have guest lecturers who are really experts in the field come and teach these courses. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, and I would definitely recommend the ones that I chose. So how the course structure works for me. So of course we have lectures, so these are with a lot of people, but it's very interactive. The teachers, they always ask for discussions, you can ask questions. So that's very typical. We also have seminars. This is on a weekly basis. You're split into smaller groups, so you have chance to discuss with your peers, and they also cover materials that have been covered in the lecture, but it goes more into depth. So for example, if they have a new theory, they will discuss this more in depth, and you can have activities to practice your knowledge on it. So those are good times to ask questions. You have workshops. This one was more for quantitative methods. So this is really great, especially if you're the type of person who might struggle a little bit with statistics, because you can really bring the homework that has been assigned each week, and you have the teacher there, and they really are with you to help you out with the questions. So you get a lot of support. Practical, so this one's very exciting. So I have this, for example, in my crime scene investigation course. So this is more hands-on. I see that a lot of people wrote that they wanted to practice the applications into the real world. So this is definitely a class that really shows you what the real life experiences are like. And guest lectures, this is probably one of my favorite components. Even in the compulsory modules, for example, in the foundations, we also had guest lecturers come every week to give a lecture on the topic that they're expertise in. So for example, UCL has a very good connection with the Met Police, so we get people from there. In the geoscience course, for example, we had people coming from the Natural History Museum. So yeah, you really get a wide range, and it really widens your eyes on the different career opportunities you can take after your studies. Then these are like the individual things that you have to do during the week. So of course, lots of readings. There's like different articles, but don't worry. Like, I know I said a lot, but it's okay if you're interested in it. We also have reading week, so they do give you sufficient time to catch up with everything. I really enjoyed it just because I'm really interested in the topic, so I wouldn't worry about it. We also have different styles of exams, because I know not everyone likes going to an exam room and take exams, but actually quite a lot of the exams, for my courses at least, are take-home exams or coursework. So they really assess you in a way in how you've learned the material. It's not just trying to memorize it, but you get a lot of scenarios where you put the knowledge that you've learned and put it in. So I really like the way of assessing. Like I said, coursework, and also we have discussion forums. This was more in the foundation courses, but it's really nice because it's a very engaging way of teaching. So once every 2 weeks, they would post a question that is relevant to what has been taught, and you form your own opinion, and you have sort of like a mini debate with different peers in your class, and it's very interesting to bounce off each other's ideas and learn a bit more. How's it like being a student at UCL? So put this in the studies aside. It's It's very interesting, never gets boring. I always like to study in libraries just because I can never concentrate at home. And the great thing about UCL is that it has so many different libraries. Yeah, you don't have to book. You can sometimes just show up. If you want nicer rooms, of course, you have to book a bit more in advance, but there is always going to be a spot. And they provide laptops. There's quiet rooms, there's like social rooms, so it's a wide variety. Also, I'm a big foodie, and there's a lot of different food places just on the UCL campus from diverse range of cuisines. I personally like the jacket potatoes with beans and cheese, very British of me, I know. But we also have our own pizza store, which is very nice. So I like to go and hang out there with my friends. I know coming into UCL, I was a little worried that I wasn't going to mix in because I'm a bit older than most of the people. But they also have events that are very specially tailored for example, postgrads. So for example, every Wednesday in one of the bars, we have a postgrad quiz. You can also join, for example, postgrad run-in training, postgrad music society. So if you just want to hang out with your peers, there's a lot of events for that. There's also a lot of societies. I think UCL has over 200 or something societies, so it's a lot. I'm a bit biased, so I chose the music society, so I can play in the orchestras, for example, attend the concerts. I also joined the detective society, so we come together like once a month, solve murder mysteries, which is also very fun. But there are so many different options. You'll see them all at the welcome fair. I know there's a Taylor Swift society, there is a boba society, there's a marathon society, skydiving society is also one of them. Oh yeah, so I have some advice. I would first really recommend to do your research, especially into what kind of masters you would like to do. So for example, like I said, you can go through all the different modules, you can read up on it. And why this is so important is because you really need it to show your motivation. So you don't have to have a background in that specific degree, but if you show your motivation, your interest, which courses you're interested in, what have you done before that shows this interest, I think this really builds like a stronger application. Also, don't forget to already ask your university professors to provide your references, because I think you need to, so you don't want to rush that either. And then when you're in UCL, these are some tricks. So I would really recommend doing the readings because they really help, and it's very interesting anyway, so it's not that bad. Just go to the lectures. UCL is such a big campus. Your lectures will always be in different rooms. I'm still getting lost. I know people who've been at UCL for 5 years still get lost. You still discover new rooms. So it's a really great way to just go, explore the campus, hang out with friends there. Plan, organize. I think everyone knows this. And also don't forget to keep up your hobbies and interests because it's much more fun. Student Union is the big student organization at UCL. They provide you with a lot of events, a lot of activities. So I would really recommend joining that, and there you can discover all the different societies. And yeah, you can meet a lot of people. So this is my final slide. So what is it after for me? Because I know a lot of you are interested in what you could do after your degree. Well, I'm still deciding, and not because I don't know, but because there's too much and I just don't know where to focus. But this is just to give you some ideas that I'm interested in. So I'm going to refer back to the forensic entomology lecture that I received. I reached out to the professor who came to teach it, Martin Hall, and he worked at the Natural History Museum. So now I'm in contact with the employees there, and I go there quite often just to check out the fly collections. I help them sort flies as well. And I'm also thinking on doing my dissertation on that, but for me that's a really exciting aspect, and that wasn't something that I even considered before. So I'm really excited to branch into this. Like I mentioned, UCL has very good connections with the Met Police. I also volunteer there. So for example, I help them do like the weapon sweeping, where we try to see how to build a safer community by seeing if people hiding weapons around or drugs. I do that about 2 times a month, maybe 3 times. You can also do like role playing, so you pretend to be victims and get policemen pretend to arrest you is very fun, but it's really nice to see like behind the scenes of how police actually works. So maybe I would like to do something there, and maybe in the future, who knows, I might want to do something in Interpol, but that is really up in the air right now. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. You can always reach out to me on my Instagram for any kind of questions you want about the course or about life at UCL in general or life in London, and I'll be really happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Katie. I told you you're in for a treat listening to her, and she just brings all the enthusiasm with her about what it really is like to be here. And yeah, you know, you can get fascinated in flies too. It could be a really good thing for you. Okay, what I'd like you to just ask everyone to do is, if you have any further questions that you would like to ask us, please do put them into the Q&A. And while you're having a think about that, I'll just share a couple of final slides with you on just some other bits of information that we thought might be useful to you. So let me just see if this is working. Okay, so it's taken me back to the beginning, of course, but I can quickly scroll through. Let's probably show you all the notes. Apologies, it is. Here we are. It was this that I wanted to talk to you about. So one of the things that is important to think about, obviously, and you've been asking some very good questions about this, is what you might be doing afterwards, but also more generally what the support is that UCL offer from a careers point of view. And so this is just to explain to you that you know, as well as the careers events that we'll be putting on actually in the department, that we've obviously got good structures in place for more general careers advice. So there is at UCL a dedicated careers team that can help you in the first 3 years after you graduate, as well as in the year that you're a student with us. So that's good because you have continuation there. And I'd advise you, if you do come, to take up their offer on some of their services. So, for example, they can really help you with reviewing CVs and letters of application. They can give you interview preparation experience. They can help to support as you weigh up different options and make decisions. So one of the key things to do is to make sure that you integrate quickly with the career service, particularly given at master's level. Obviously, it's quite a speedy, and the year does go really quite quickly. So I suggest that was definitely something that you would engage with and see as a great benefit of being with us. Another thing is, people always ask about whether or not there are scholarships and bursaries available. There are at 2 different levels. First of all, you can apply for UCL-wide scholarships, and there's a number of the ones that you might be eligible for that are written here at the top of the screen. There's the UCL India Excellence Scholarship, the UCL Global Masters Scholarship, and the UCL Masters Bursary. And all 3 of those have obviously got specific types of application criteria, and they tend to be, these UCL wide ones tend to be means tested. So you know, it depends on your income or whether or not you're going to be in a good position to apply for those. The UCL, so our own SCS, Security and Crime Science scholarships and bursaries, are actually on the basis of merit of the application. So anyone can apply. The deadlines are the 30th of April. We offer up to £10,000 in scholarships. That often is divided between more than one individual who applies to our courses. So it really is worth thinking about applying to that too. It might give you a little bit of money towards, for example, paying your fees or your living expenses. Okay, please do stay in touch. I know that you've all been very savvy individuals doing your research in advance of coming here, but we do also send out regular updates across all our social media channels, and we have our own Instagram, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube accounts, and you'll also see other interesting bits of information coming from UCL Engineering. So it really is worth signing up to those, because they can link you in with, first of all, what's going on with us, but also some of the different types of opportunities that you'll have when you come to us, and it might give you a bit of a head start, seeing all those different kinds of activities that Katie was talking about that you might be able to get involved with. And just finally, while you're while you're just with us, it would be really useful to us if you wouldn't mind seeing if you can follow this QR code to give us a quick kind of recommendation or some thoughts on your experience at this event. We want to make sure that when we're talking to our lovely potential students, that we've got it right in terms of what you want to hear. Is there anything you'd like to hear more of? Is this a convenient time for you? Is the online kind of format a useful one for you? It really does help us if you could just give us any bits of your wisdom, and we'd very much appreciate it. So I will. I think that if I'm looking at this right, we haven't got any at the moment further questions from you. Is that right, colleagues? I think that we've probably answered everything that that people have been asking us. Let me just then stop sharing. And
There's one, Kate, there's one question that came in the chat, and it's asking about part-time. So yes, so when we said flexible mode of study, that would basically include part-time. So you can spread it over 2 to 5 years. And indeed, many of our students work full-time and do the degree part-time. So hopefully this answered your questions.
Yes, that's correct, Sandy. So yeah, we're very flexible in terms of modes. So I think that's useful to know. You can basically do it at your own pace. Okay, there's one in the Q&A box, which maybe James, you might be able to answer. Okay, James, I don't know if you've seen this question. Maybe you could answer it live. The crime scene investigation practice looks very interesting. I'm just curious if the practice is based on real world scenarios and cases. I'm hoping to apply for the course soon. I think we might, I don't know whether or not we've lost James. But he might be back. Hopefully he'll be back to reply to. Maybe Katie can answer that. Katie, can you answer that question? Have you got a sense of the degree to which they've been based on real world scenarios and cases?
Yeah, so I did my first practical today, and it was mainly about knowing how to measure evidence. So for example, knowing like the placement of evidence, which is of course what one of the main jobs of being a CSI. I know later on in the practicals you'll learn how to like package evidence, how to take swabs. So yeah, I think they're very much based on real world scenarios. I know our next practical is in a secret location. It's not even in a classroom. So I'm very excited for that.
That's great. I mean, absolutely. What I do know is I've seen many of people in the department wandering around with full hazmat suits on. So I know that there's a lot of real hands-on practical stuff that goes on. And I know that it's one thing that people always say that they've really appreciated about the course, that it feels like it's in a really strong real world context. So hopefully that's answered the question. Thank you, Katie. Okay, in rounding up, have we got any more questions from anyone? Okay. If not, it just remains to be said. Thank you very much for your attention and coming along to join us this evening. If you have any questions at all that we haven't answered, please do get in touch with us, and we will, you know, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And as I said, it would be also very useful and interesting to us if you could give us a little bit of feedback on how you feel this event has gone, because we want to make sure that we're doing it in the best possible way for you to engage with us as well. So thank you. And thank you to my colleagues and to Katie for joining us this evening. And hopefully we'll be seeing you in the new term. So have a good evening, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. See